And we begin with a Fox News alert, and good afternoon to you. The new details on President Trump's border crackdown coming out. Welcome to Outnumbered Overtime. I'm Julie Banderas in for Harris Faulkner today. The president saying he wants to send between 2,000 and 4,000 National Guard members to America's border with Mexico, and he wants them to stay there until his wall is built. The commander-in-chief emphasizing the need for strong borders to stop illegal immigration and drug trafficking during an event in West Virginia.
We have to have strong borders. We're going to have the wall. We've already started building it. We have $1.6 billion. We've started building it and fixing miles and miles of wall that's already up and fence. And we're going to have our wall, and we're going to get it very strongly. The military is going to be building some of it.
National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin joins us now from the Pentagon. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Julie. Well, we may get the first on-camera reaction from Defense Secretary Mattis here just moments from now. He's hosting an honor cordon for the Defense Minister of Slovenia, the First Lady's home country. At a press briefing here yesterday, Pentagon officials could give no timeline for when the troops would be in place, but they did announce they will be standing up a new planning cell here. It will be manned 24/7 to liaise with DHS and gave some hints about what they might do along the border.
The National Guard's efforts will include aviation, engineering, surveillance, communications, vehicle maintenance, and logistical support. These National Guard members will act in support of Border Patrol agents who are performing law enforcement duties.
Defense officials tell me it could take up to 2 months before all the Guard units are in place. That's the way the bureaucracy works. They could not say what the rules of engagement would be or whether they envision the National Guard being armed.
So those are exactly the questions that we're answering now. I don't have answers for you on any of those. Well, our bias is always that soldiers are able to defend themselves and they have the right of self-defense. However, we're going to be guided by the dialogue that's going on now between DHS and the governors, and then we'll work that here internally.
The president and Pentagon indicated U.S. troops might also help build part of the wall on military property along the border. They were referring to the Barry Goldwater live fire range in southwest Arizona, but that base runs along just 31 miles of the roughly 2,000-mile border and sees jets dropping bombs daily, so it's not clear how many illegal migrants cross that section of the border owned by the military on any given day, since the possibility of being killed is already high. Julie?
All right, Jennifer Griffin, thank you very much. Our first guest backs the president's border plan. Dan Patrick is the Republican lieutenant governor of Texas. Thank you very much for talking to us. So there is no timetable, as we all know, for the wall. So with that being said, how long do you foresee thousands of National Guard troops stationed at the Mexican border?
As long as it takes, Julie. We've had the Guard there before, and the latest was when Rick Perry, right before Governor Abbott and I took office 4 years ago, Rick Perry sent the Guard down there. It had a significant impact, and we are in total support of what the president is doing. You know, as I listen to the description of some of the things they would be doing, one of the things you have to understand that frees up law enforcement and Border Patrol to have more people on the border. When the National Guard is doing a lot of the other work behind the scenes, that helps put more law enforcement on the border. Secondly, they will be in surveillance on the border. And their very presence, the very fact that people on the other side trying to cross into our country illegally will send a strong message, as it has before. And the president is doing the right thing, and we're all in. And as I said last night on Fox, I hope they'll stay there until hell freezes over, until that wall is built. We need the wall.
Yes, and the wall obviously would stop a lot of the crime that we see on the border. But you obviously support the decision. What then would you say to critics who argue that illegal border crossings are actually down and they see this as an unnecessary waste of resources?
Well, they're wrong, and they've been wrong. We in Texas spent $800 million in our last two budgets because we had to put money up where the federal government under Obama did not act. So we had to act. And we know that with more troopers, we put close to 500 troopers down there, either permanently or rotating, to help Border Patrol. Think of it as a football game. The Border Patrol is your defensive line, and our local law enforcement are the linebackers and the cornerbacks, because we take care of them if they get past Border Patrol. But we need more federal help. We shouldn't have to spend $800 million of Texas taxpayer dollars. It should be the federal government, and that's why we appreciate what the president's doing. Keep this in mind, Julie, that every Democrat and liberal that you have talking about this issue do on the air is either just flat out lying to you, or they just have a bias, or they're uninformed. We have criminals across the border on a regular basis, hardened criminals. Over the last 7 years, we've put in jail over 245,000 illegal aliens, most of them here, criminal aliens, most of them here illegally. We've charged them with over 650,000 crimes. Those crimes committed now are on their rap sheet. That includes over 500 murders, over 3,000 sexual assaults, thousands of drug crimes, thousands of gun crimes. This is real. And, Julie, something that's not talked about, we capture and apprehend people from the Middle East coming here, from China coming here. Why are people coming here from the Middle East crossing our border illegally? This is not just about people coming from Central America like gang members that want to come and join MS-13 and other gangs. These are potential terrorists. The idea that any Democrat or any liberal does not want to secure our border, to me, they're not upholding their oath of protecting the Constitution and the laws of this country, and that includes the governor of California if he doesn't join the president. And
it needs to be said, the Border Patrol agents there that have been guarding the border and trying to do so have been putting their lives on the line, but been murdered in the process. They need backup. And one could argue, could they not, that this is very much like sending U.S. troops to Afghanistan to try to hold terrorists at bay. Look what happened when you pulled troops out of Afghanistan. The crime then increased. So by putting these National Guardsmen there would, in essence, do the same thing, would it not?
Well, putting the National Guard there backs up the men and women of U.S. Border Patrol, our local sheriffs, and our state troopers who put their lives on the line every day. I've been to the border many times, and every time I hear a liberal on Fox talk about, you know, no criminals are crossing the border, no terrorists are crossing the border, these are people who have never been. Look at MS-13 on Long Island. You know, the sheriffs all over the country know this. Law enforcement knows this. The president, yes, apprehensions were down when he came in because he took a strong stand, and now because Congress won't act, the Democrats are blocking the funding for the wall. He's now moving his words to action, and I think he's doing the right thing. And Congress needs to fund the border wall. And, Julie, we don't need it over every inch of the border. We have about 1,200 miles of the 1,900 in Texas with Mexico. There's some natural barriers. You can do it with electronic in some areas. But where we have big cities, the major crossings, that's where we need the wall to extend miles out, because when they cross there, they just meld into the population and they're hard to spot. In the smaller areas, we can spot them from the air. They're out in no man's land. We can get them. But we need the wall, especially around all those major border crossings.
All right, Dan Patrick, the Republican Lieutenant Governor of Texas, we thank you.